Yes, hello, my name is Fabio, and I represent these organizations that are down here. I work for Climate Farmers and the European Alliance for Regenerative Agriculture, and I'm involved in several Horizon Europe projects. Benchmarks, the main project I'm involved in, and the Lilas for Soils project. I also put the EU soil mission or Mission Soil there because I'm consulting the mission board on stakeholder engagement, and I lead or coordinate the cluster for stakeholder engagement, where most of you have seen me. And yeah, thank you for the introduction. My presentation is not only about regenerative agriculture, it's about a farmer-led transformation to regenerate soils and build resilient European food systems, so including all different disciplines of agriculture. Before I'm going to jump in, I would like to ask who of you has visited a farmer this year already? Can you raise your hand? Perfect. Who's in regular exchange with a farmer, meaning twice a week? Every 2 weeks? Perfect. And who likes ice cream? Cool. Just to get all your hands up there. Perfect. So before I start, I wanted to actually look at what is a farmer from a definition, because we all use that word quite often. Sometimes it's quite nice to see where it originates from and where does the word come from. It comes actually from Old French and from fermer, which means something like somebody who is collecting taxes or rents from land. So somebody that is extracting land, not giving value back to land. And it shifted over the last century to somebody that actually takes care of the land or cultivates the land. And I think this is sometimes the disconnection of the words, or like the confusion that we still have. We're still sticking to the word of extraction if we speak about a farmer. And this is also where the word originates from. You can look it up in the word history dictionary. And farmers are coming in all shapes, in all ages, in all genders, and these are the farmers that we work with all across Europe. So you see they're very different. There's not one farmer that equals every other farmer, which is quite nice. And I think also there we need to speak about migrant farmers, seasonal farmers, those that are underrepresented. Usually there's male farmers that we see, but then there's also women in farming and other people in farming. But these farmers slowly dissolve and not exist anymore within the European sphere. And over the last, I think from 2015 to 2020, we had per month 30,000 farmers in Europe dissolving, not existing anymore. And what we have instead is large-scale industrial agriculture. I think this is more United States. I don't know if we have something like that here in Europe, but this is the norm also within Europe. Large scale agriculture, not so much space for smallholder farmers, and we're taking land away. So we need to transform the system. So what is the definition of transformation? And here Kuhn already mentioned Donella Meadow. I took it from the system thinking literature. Transformation is not just change. And I think this is where there's a lot of misuse of the words. We speak about transformation as changing the system. System transformation equals system change. But actually, what transformation means, it's a deep redesign of a system. So we actually look at the underlying values of the underlying construct of the system and try to understand how the system is built on. And there's not just one system. A system is consisting of different systems. And this is when we speak about transformation of the food system, it's very important to understand that we don't just change something, that we twist like one button around, but rather that we really look at the relationships, outcomes, and values that the system is built on. And then now, what is a farmer-led transformation? And there I came up with this, which I'm also curious about your opinion. It's not about scaling up solutions for farmers, it's about scaling farmer solutions. So really putting farmers into the center of decision making, listening to farmers, what we have heard already before, and yeah, like co-creating instead of just implementing for farmers. What is happening also now with the soil monitoring directive, it's implemented, and farmers are the implementers, they're not the co-creators of the directive. And this is what we need to change within policy and research. And that's why I'm standing today here. And I want to look at how to enable a farmer-led transformation. And this is what I want to explore together with you and share the story that I have explored so far. Before I do that, I want to speak about the elephant in the room. If somebody knows what is the elephant in the room. Of course, it's foresters, urban planners, it's the other landowners, land stewards that are out there. It's not just the farmers, and I'm speaking about farmer-led transformation because I work in agriculture, but most of us work in European projects that not just look at one land use type, but that look at different land use types. And yesterday and today, I didn't hear much about urban planners and foresters. And the workshops that we have done in benchmarks, we have heard a lot from foresters that they feel underrepresented. So I think we should, yeah, pay attention to that and give space to the elephant in the room. So I am coming from Climate Farmers. I am one of the co-initiators in the beginning of the Climate Farmers journey. It's a farmer trend-centric organization. So we don't drive transformation. We support those that drive transformation, which are farmers. So we put them into the center. And our building blocks for that is our vision that we created, where we see a world where humans see themselves as part of nature and treat nature as it is, as we treat ourselves. So that's the vision that we follow. And for that, we created our mission or drafted our mission, which is to build the ecosystem to scale regenerative agriculture. So we looked at how we can mitigate climate change within Europe and how we can support farmers. And for that, there's a lack of an infrastructure for that. So we also sometimes said we need an app store for farmers with all the tools and resources that are needed in order to bring yeah, farmer-friendly practices and resources to the market. And our backbone of our, and the DNA of our work is our guiding principles and values, which is, of course, in the first place, we are with farmers, then we are purpose-driven business and organization. We are acting from a living system perspective and try to embody that also as an organization. We care deeply internally, but also externally in the partnerships and relationships we have. And this is also where we use the power of synergies, which I also would like for us in Horizon Europe to do much more and within the European space. And we think systemically. And based on that, we saw the systemic part and the infrastructure. We looked at what is needed for farmer-led transformation, and we identified these building blocks. So knowledge, community, market alignment, policy, financing, which of course are all intervened with each other and weave together. And based on that, we looked at, okay, what do we want to contribute to the system? What can we contribute with the skill set that we have? And one of the main things that we do is a regenerative agriculture agronomist training, where we train agronomist consultants to support farmers in their journey, in their transition. We support with MRV tools for industry and soil regeneration tracking. So where we don't look only at carbon, but we try to cover the whole spectrum of soil functions. The backbone of our work is a community of regenerative farmers across Europe, where we allow peer-to-peer learning and offer learning journeys, so also training and webinars for farmers. The community is, yeah, you can, yeah, I think most of you know, WhatsApp, Telegram is actually the backbone there. This is how farmers connect with each other, how they learn from each other, and it's very, very successful over the last 5 years. And why I'm here, we put farmers' voices into European policies and involve them in research projects so that farmers actually get also a piece of that funding cake that is out there, which is usually shared mostly between researchers, scientists, universities, and industry. So we want to position farmers as part of Horizon projects, as part of EU-funded projects. And then we focus on business model support for regenerative transition and also the exploitation within European projects and the longevity and future-proofness of living labs. And as I said already, we have the community of farmers where we connect them with each other. We have national hubs. You see, we are quite strong within Spain and Portugal, which you don't see anymore on that map. So we have over 750 farmers connected with each other, most of them in the Mediterranean, but then also Netherlands is quite well represented, and we bring them together in person meetings, online webinars, and with space for them to grow together and to learn from each other. And this is also how we then listened to the farmer and understood what is needed and decided that we involve ourselves into EU projects as benchmarks So that we want to explore exactly that question, what emerges when farmers set the agenda not only for industry and market, but also for policy and research. How can we support them in leading the transformation in policy and research? If we look at the soil monitoring directive, the common agricultural policy, what happens if we actually put farmers on that table with policymakers? If we consult them and listen to them and not just see it as a download of information, what usually happens. And this is what we do within benchmarks. So in benchmarks, we work across different scales with a diverse spectrum of stakeholders. And we work with statistical data, space data, and sample data. We have over 28 case studies across Europe. And the goal is, first of all, to understand what is needed within that space. And that's also my role, leading the multi-stakeholder process and coordination within benchmarks, in order, first of all, to understand what is the foundation, how can we co-create that journey together with our stakeholders, and who are these people. And based on that, there's also a parallel work stream. We develop a cognitive model and logical C framework to understand how soil functions, soil processes, soil indicators are relating to each other, in order then to come to our key outcomes and results after 5 years. So we have 2.5 years still to go, which is a soil health dashboard, which is a decision support tool for different stakeholders across these different scales. And the idea is, and the goal is there, to have the dashboard where you receive indicators that are relevant to your context, and also support for deciding which management practices work in your urban, forest, or agricultural environment. For that, we have a quite extensive land management catalog, and we are still working on the harmonized indicator selection framework. So we did last year a sampling program, this year is a sampling, and next year we still sample. And based on that, we developed the harmonized indicator selection framework. If you work on something similar, reach out to us. Let's collaborate. And these are the actors that we work with. Move somehow. So we have land stewards, where we have foresters, land managers, farmers, and planners, public actors, private actors, knowledge education actors, and citizen. So these are the 5 actors that we listen to, that we co-create with, that we engaged. And I'm very happy that Claire spoke before me, because Claire also supported in Benchmark in hosting a workshop in France for one of the case studies that we're in, and did an amazing job. So these are the stakeholders that we brought together. And we defined, first of all, like, why do we want to bring them together? And this is the purpose of us creating a multi-stakeholder process within benchmarks, where we looked at co-creating practical solutions, making them usable and valuable for farmers, but also for other stakeholders. And we can only do that if we listen to them. We want to also make soil health, the complexity, accessible for the different stakeholders. So we're looking at soil literacy, and build local collaboration networks, because benchmarks not going to exist after the 5 years. Other partners will still continue in other European projects, but what we can build there is actually to strengthen these networks so that they will continue their work together. And we want to also have include the voice that are usually not included, the underrepresented, the people that are not listened to. So we put emphasis there on including migrant groups, migrant workers, women, especially from a farming sector. And then last but not least, connecting policy and practice through real-world experience. So bringing these different stakeholders together and exchanging and seeing what they bring in from the different experiences they have. And all of this is also to test our main hypothesis from benchmarks, so that soil health is seen and understood and managed differently across different land use types, regions, and from different actors. So that there's a difference, and this is what we wanted to test with our work here. Sorry. Here on the right side, you see the process that we developed for our multi-stakeholder process. There's also the deliverable that we have written. If you want to have access to that, if you are working in a multi-stakeholder process or stakeholder engagement, reach out to us. We have done a lot of work. It would be a pity if this is just dusting in a corner. So feel free to reach out. And sorry, sometimes this is not working. Yeah. So maybe just briefly how we designed the stakeholder engagement. So here we looked at, first of all, what is the local context? We defined a clear land manager-centered purpose, which you see on the right here. So establish stakeholder networks for mutual learning and building these networks that I've spoken about. Design meaningfully, not extractive. So we looked at stakeholder fatigue and what is triggering stakeholder fatigue, and how can we have stakeholders arriving to our workshops and being still motivated and engaged after our workshops. We have seen it a lot of other European projects. Stakeholders are drained. They don't get paid. They arrive, we download a lot of information, we don't offer much. So this is what we looked at, like how can we create joy, enthusiasm, fun within the workshops? And this is the spirit that we brought in there. I motivated especially to go beyond the usual suspects. So stakeholder engagement. I worked on another European projects. I still have a list here, old somewhere in my Google Drive that I can share with you. So let's go beyond the usual suspects. Let's design for the context and the purpose that we have defined for these projects and include people that are usually not included. Involve stakeholders early and continuously, also in the design process, and design for momentum, not just meetings. This is not just a checklist, which I think most of us see sometimes like this. I need to do a workshop. Okay, check, I've done a workshop, but let's design for momentum and let's involve them and let's also design between living labs and case studies so that we understand what is happening within other European projects. And this is actually shaping the workshop interactions and insights and benchmarks, all of that, which I show you on that slide, where we had 24 case studies at the time when we planned the workshops. Now we have 28, if you remember the number correctly. We had 21 workshops, a lot of partners involved, 3 land use types, a lot of languages, a lot of complexity. I've never done that before, but we managed, and this is where we mapped over 1,000 stakeholders, invited over 700 stakeholders, and then had over 647 stakeholders being there in person, still engaged within the project. And this is the map where you see also the different land use types for the workshops that we have. And I just wanted to, as this is also scientific, present some numbers. So we have these are the demographics for all workshops. As you see, most land stewards, as we call them, were represented in urban, forestry, and agriculture together summed up, which is great. But also, I want to mention here, let's be aware of land manager washing, farmer washing. It's good to have numbers, but let's not invite people just to increase the statistics and demographics. But still, this is the numbers that we have, quite equal between private, public, and knowledge and education actor and citizen. We're mostly represented in urban, but not much in agriculture and forestry, which we would change in the future. This is across the different land use types. I'm not going to go into detail here, but as you see, forestry and agriculture are mostly land stewards, and then urban, quite equal distribution between private, public, and knowledge and education actors. But we also not looked at the different stakeholder groups, also ages and gender distribution. As you see here, it's quite well distributed. Sometimes it was in some countries harder to have the gender distribution, so especially getting women in the agricultural space involved. This is a photo from the workshop in Portugal, which was the first workshop that we hosted. And just to also share with you some of the outcomes that we had in the activity 1 of our workshop, we looked at the soil challenges. This is the summary of all the workshops combined and the common themes. In red, the 5 most soil health challenges across all workshops. Yeah, no wonder it's soil compaction, water management, organic matter loss, nutrient imbalance, and climate change. This is summarized. So climate change is a huge topic. But yeah, this is the soil health challenges across all workshops, the soil management challenges. So what is stopping farmers to implement soil health improving management practices as policy support, lack of education, financial constraints, technological barriers, and social awareness, and all of the others. But these are the 5 main soil management challenges. And then it's soil function prioritization. For some in our project, it was surprise. I think it is quite reasonable. Water regulation and purification used to be the soil function that is prioritized in all workshops across all stakeholder groups. Yeah, and I think this is quite a relevant one. All of this you find in the reports that we have developed for all of the workshops. So if you're interested, if you are somewhere placed where we have a case study and you want to share that with your stakeholders, please reach out to us. And yeah, I can send it to you. These results are also integrated into an interactive tool, which is going to be published on our website, where you can compare between the different workshops, the results, which is quite nice. And once it's out, I'm very happy to share it with you. We're still modifying a tiny bit on that side. This is also the base for our soil dashboard, which I already told you about, which is the final end result and product of the benchmarks project. This is a decision support tool for not only for land managers, but for all stakeholders that we work with. And let's work on this together. Like, I think there's many dashboards, platforms developed in many European projects. Let's do it together. Just need to ask time-wise, do I have 4 minutes in total or 4 minutes for me speaking? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna speed up a little bit. So there's a little. Is working? No. Okay, I pressed something. Okay, I just wanted to give the voice also to people that were actually involved in the workshop. So this is our workshop in Spain.
Uno de estos proyectos es Benchmarks, y Benchmarks se propone hacer un marco de monitoreo para hacer el seguimiento de los suelos europeos, pero contextualizado a cada país. El pasado 3 de noviembre tuvo lugar aquí, en La Junquera, el taller Suelos Saludables para la Resiliencia Agrícola y Forestal del sureste de España. Durante ese día se hicieron varias actividades participativas donde reunimos a varios actores de la región. Estos actores fueron agricultores, políticos, civicultores, agentes del sector privado, investigadores, así como de asociaciones y cooperativas. Y juntos definimos qué objetivos queremos obtener para el sureste de España. El día fue muy movido y hubieron muchas actividades. También hubo una charla explicando las funciones del suelo y un tour por la finca donde realmente pudimos ver los suelos y la problemática de esa región, así como varias de las técnicas de agricultura regenerativa que se implementan en esta finca. Pero, sobre todo, hubieron actividades de debate, donde juntos pudimos definir los retos a los que nos enfrentamos, qué es lo que nos para de realizar prácticas que mejoren los suelos, definimos los objetivos que queremos obtener para el sureste de España y también compartimos conocimientos de prácticas que ya cada uno está haciendo para mejorar los suelos. Todo esto fue tanto en la parte práctica, agrícola y forestal, así como a nivel político, regional y de asociaciones y cooperativas.
Desde el punto de vista técnico, me ha encantado un poco el de economía en mi caso, y entonces la demanda hacia la parte socioeconómica, que ha sido una de los tópicos, de los aspectos más demandados, entonces con una alegría porque vemos que es muy necesario lo que estamos planteando. Porque te da por pensar si aplicando otro sistema a la larga, no, bueno, pues, hay que saber si nos va a beneficiar o seguimos con el mismo problema que de la erosión que tenemos en esta zona. Pero entonces conocer otros nuevos conocimientos que antes no los conocíamos. Entonces, este tipo de talleres pues viene súper bien.
Ha sido un día interesante compartiendo experiencias y ideas de gente pues, de distintos ámbitos. Y es una situación en la que te inspira para poder seguir con los proyectos que cada uno tiene.
Entonces es una esperanza para la agricultura española, especialmente en un entorno de cambio climático que parece que surge la incertidumbre sobre la precipitación de marcha.
Perfect. I just want to get you a little view into that, and before giving the voice also to a few farmers that were involved, that were engaged within our workshops. But my time is also running out, so I'm gonna wrap it up with a few slides. But this is just to. This was the workshop in La Jonquera, one of the partners within our project, the Regeneration Academy in Spain. Amazing project. Check them out. And yeah, one last words about us. So as I've said already, we are part of the Mission Soil. I'm working in the cluster for stakeholder engagement communication. We are over 50 projects. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of opportunity. Let's use that together. This is what I want to tell you. This is why I'm here. We have 25 Mission Soil living labs in place. One of the examples also of the collaboration is AI for soil health and soil health benchmarks. it's a sister project or brother project, however you want to call it. The AI for soil health is focusing on this very complex technological part, while we make the in-depth soil sampling and soil analysis and the stakeholder engagement very intensively. So we complement each other quite good, and we are in continuous exchange. So let's do that also with the other European projects. And there's 5 clusters. All of you, I guess, or most of you know, there's stakeholder engagement cluster, data management, soil indicators, and there's 2 new clusters. Surprise! One is on business models, the other is on contamination. I don't know, like they're gonna be announced very soon. So get involved, reach out. You can reach out to me if you want to be involved. And I can't stand here to speak about farmer-led transformation if I don't mention the European Alliance for Regenerative Agriculture, which is a farmer-led organization within Europe connecting all different agriculture disciplines and working on policy for regeneration. So policy change within Europe from a farmer's perspective and positioning farmers in political spaces. And this is what we do over the next 2 years. I'm co-leading the Regenerating Europe tour. We are in every capital over the next 2 years, hosting national events, bringing local stakeholders together in order to explore how we can influence and inform the common agriculture policy, which is a giant, which is influenced now by the wrong people. So let's do it together. Reach out if you want to do it together. And there's an appel, but I'm going to close with that. And you find my email address here, or you can also scan that QR code. Thank you so much.